Okay, alright, so, hello everyone, and of course, welcome to another replay review, one of my favorite series that I have the pleasure of doing on DotP. I, of course, am Ursinity, and someone recently requested this game, not surprisingly. SA51 asked me to hang out and watch over his Necrophos game. So, as always, we're going to be talking about decision making, the decisions he makes and possible alternate decisions. He does X when he could have done Y. Talk about efficiency, spell usage, stuff like that. I forget where I wrote it down, but I believe he is high 2Ks, or like mid 2Ks, high 2Ks. So this should be productive. All right. Okay, we're gonna set this to free camera. Okay, and we should probably pause that and go to. All right. So commencing. All right. So I'm on the wrong side. All right. Essay. What he is doing. All right. So he's going mid Necrophos. Necrophos is a really weird hero because he is in a really. Let's just speed this up. Necrophos is in a really weird spot, and I think Proud worded it really well. I think it was Proud when we were talking about it. That Necrophos is a good hero if you think of him outside of the game. You think, alright, this hero, he does damage, he heals, he has tons of lane sustain, he demands to be dealt with, he can kill you and you're dead forever, which I actually hate this ability so much. It's like one of the dumbest abilities in Dota. He does a ton of things, but the problem with him is that when you think of him in terms of a 5-man team comp, and in terms of like the metagame that is created within Dota, he doesn't really fit anywhere laning wise, right? We've seen people like he's pretty decent in like aggro tri lanes, but he's not super he's not super good in any one position. It's kind of like you can run him mid and hopefully you take the game over. You can run him as like some kind of weird fourth slot support and then transition him. You can do a lot of things, but the real problem lies in that like he needs items to get online, but like he's just he has a lot of inherent problems. That said, he's a pretty decent hero if like the stars align and things go well for you. All right, so the thing about this matchup is it should be, I'd say, kind of. I think it's Ember Spirit favored in the long run, but Necrophos should be able to take an early lead because the thing is Necrophos isn't going to take spell damage. Oh boy, he's actually just going to die here though. Boy, this guy is an idiot. Okay, easy mid. All right. This Ember Spirit is not the best. Again, like we always say, we have to meet our expectations based on the average MMR range of the players we are watching. So that's something to take into consideration. I'm going to speed this up a little just because, some of these replay reviews have been getting a little long, and some people like that it's really long, and then other people, it's kind of like, well, they don't have an hour to, to sit around and hear me wax poetic. Alright. Necrophos is a hero that, like, right here we're seeing why, in my opinion, Ember Spirit should really win this matchup. Once he hits, like, level 4, he should be able to really just dominate this Necrophos. That is not happening. Obviously, the guy has a Quelling Blade and no regen, and, boy. Heartstopper is such a cancerous ability to deal with. Like, when you think about abilities in Dota, it's like, most of them are... They have like, oh my god, is he gonna die again? This is the saddest thing in the world. Okay. Hopefully SA didn't just send me a game of him stomping because that's not gonna be very educational, I don't think. Anyway. There's a game where most abilities, they demand to be dealt with and like there are ways of dealing with them, whereas Heartstopper it's just kind of like this agonizing like annoyance. Right? It's kind of like, I don't know, like a fly is just like buzzing around your head all the time. And like you can't quite kill him, but he's just really annoying. This metaphor escaped me, but anyway. Good hero. Let's see, what item is he bringing? Alright, so he's going to do the very common build of rushing mech and possibly rushing Guardian Greaves. A lot of people, or a lot of the time when I see Necrophos run successfully, you run him in this kind of like death ball-y, like, you know, in this team, for instance, I'd think like, alright, you get your Ursa to do Roche, and right around when he Roches, Necrophos should have his mech. Juggernaut Healing Ward, and then Rubik, you know, being Rubik, and Alk is jungling or something. Why is Alk jungling? Is Ursa laning? Oh, Ursa's laning. Okay, whatever. We're not talking about them. But basically, you get the point. Like, the idea is, all right, let's get our key items, key timings, and then 5-man. And this team, alternatively, is pretty greedy. Like, right, they have three cores, two of which need a lot of items, and one of which needs a decent amount of items. Boy, this guy's super dead. Oh, boy. All right. But yeah, so I mean that's generally what you pick a Necrophos for. Is you pick him for that like mid-game centric thing, or if one of the few times where I think he's legitimately a good hero is in the very late game, where you have an Aghanims on Necrophos and the enemy has like one really strong core, like let's say like a Medusa or an Anti-Mage or something. What you're gonna want to do is just win the entire game with one ult, right? You just make it so that person can't buy back. You know, it's 60 minutes or whatever. Both teams have the pushing potential. The guy's dead for 2 minutes, whatever, maybe more. And then you just go and win the game. That's like a situation where Necros really shines. That said, I mean, most games don't get to that point, so... And this is kind of the way to deal with him, right? Is pick a bunch of cores, so if one guy gets ulted and is dead for like 2 minutes, then you could still deal with it. You could still defend, etc., etc. Wyvern's pretty good defending, though that guy got nerfed to the ground. Alright, we're going to speed this up a little. This mid matchup right now is... Honestly, like, I don't even want to comment on it because it's kind of one... Like, sometimes you win a matchup that maybe you should, like, come out even or lose, but sometimes you win it, like, maybe you're just playing better. Obviously, SA is playing better than our Ember Spirit friend, but sometimes you win it just because the other team is just so, like, ridiculously stupid, and they just, like, feed you, or they just feed kills into oblivion. So, like... We have 3 kills at 5 minutes. He's been just CSing freely. Sure, his CS is not ideal, but it's still good, all things considered. So, like, really, this is a matchup won by the or it's won for the Necrophos by the Ember Spirit player. So, there's not too much to comment on. You know, if it was like a close matchup, then we'd be talking about how he should be positioned like here, which, of course, as I say that, he does that. That's good. Generally, when you're in this, like... Alright, so when you think about equilibrium in mid lane, there are kind of 2 schools of thought depending on the matchup, right? Some matchups, you want to be on the high ground, zoning the enemy. So, like in this, with this equilibrium, you would want to be standing here or there. Probably here because it's farther from the tower. You have better vision of potential ganks. But the other... would be, alright, I have to be defensive, so you want to keep the equilibrium here, and then you stay on the uphill. It's always about uphill advantage. And of course, this matchup is kind of even more is a little more complicated because it's melee versus range, whereas a lot of the common mid matchups are range v range. And when you have range v range, then you know, this high ground advantage is kind of mitigated by the fact that they can kind of stay back, and if they outrange you, or if you have equal range, they can hit you once or twice. You're going to have to run away because you can't chase under tower. Alright, but yeah, so this is, we're going to fast forward a little bit. So this, I mean, I think we've kind of discussed this enough. Come on, let's go. Alright. Whoops. Alright. Will it kill him? That was weird. Did he have Flame Guard up? Oh, he must have had Flame Guard up and the pause just messed it up. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's an advantage, but also, like, a disadvantage because you can just kill the Flame Guard immediately as Necrophos. Alright, so we do have our mech up. Necrophos is not really a bottle mid, so it allows you to get that mech up really fast, although, to be fair, he has no mana to use it, but, yeah. So, because they have it, excuse me, because they have a jungler, Jesus, it's dying. This game is kind of skewed where we've kind of won mid really hard, obviously. If you look at, nope, last hits, yeah, I mean, it's 37 to 14. He has almost triple the CS. He has 3 kills. He has a bunch of denies. He has almost as many denies as Ember Spirit has last hits. Like, it's definitely not a not like an even matchup by any means. But because they have a jungler, their lanes other than mid are kind of like lost or trading. So, you know, take with that what you will. You know me. Anybody that listens to the podcast knows that I hate junglers. I cringe because Roland is chief jungler of all the junglers. But, you know, to each their own. If you want to lose all your games by jungling, feel free. Alright. Where is our Necrophos friend? I got distracted with my hatred of junglers. Alright, so we're going treads. Treads common. I like the treads. Granted, like I would say, like I think now with Greaves, what I would do is I would go Greaves, disassemble. No. What would I do? I guess I mean I would just go Greaves, honestly. I kind of think Greaves are like the play here. But regardless, he's getting treads. Treads are also good. I mean, you can't really go too wrong with treads. So the weakness here, right? So we talked about how we're going to comment on decision making, and this is a big decision that he has made. He went up here like a good minute and a half ago. He spent a minute and a half not killing anybody on top lane, and they're not pushing. Sure, they forced wards, but you know that's kind of negligible because those don't have like the longest cooldown, right? 100 seconds. But he's allowed the Ember Spirit to now farm mid a little bit to the point that Ember Spirit can attempt to come back, right? So in the minute that he is gone, Ember Spirit has a bottle now, he has boots up, and sure, he only got like a dozen extra CS, but it's the kind of thing where it adds up, right? If he has another minute and a half, I mean, if this continues, oh boy, he almost died. That was close. He also didn't use his mech, but I didn't get to see that, so. Alright, and exactly, we see Ember Spirit gets to gank around. Oh, he misses chains, should have chains there. But so basically, like, we were shutting this Ember Spirit out of the game, and now we're kind of letting him get back into the game. You know, do with that information what you will. Sure, you could say, well, we put him so far behind that by doing this, we're not significantly disadvantaged. But it's something to think about, right? Every time you make a decision to, like, oh, I'm going to go top lane, or oh, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, all those decisions have to have, like, clear goals behind them, right? So, like, that Ember Spirit came down here, he said, I'm going to gank this lane, and that's what he did, right? He didn't just meander over here to do nothing. And I'm sure SA, when he came top, he was thinking like, alright, we'll push or I'll gank. But that didn't pan out. And then you gotta kind of do some control, right? You gotta think, oh, should I go back? Should I stay? Should I, you know, do X, Y, or Z? And those are the decisions you gotta make. Alright. Also, yeah, that's fine. Okay, alright, we have mech treads. Question is, what's the next item? I'm going to speed this up a little just because, again, you know, we're not talking about the whole game. We're just talking about the Necrophos. See, this is something about that dynamic we just discussed. This is like a very clearly goal-oriented rotation, right? So he comes down here. Within the next minute or so, they push down to tier 1. Then they can go back. He can TP top. Well, he can't TP top because they took that tower with wards. Oh, they didn't use wards. And then you can go through other lanes, etc. And that's what you want to do with one of these 5-man team comps. We have a Shadowblade Sven. Believe it or not, I saw that in a game recently. You know, when people are like, "Oh, 4K is all roses," trust me, you see dumb things like Shadowblade Sven up there too. All right. So now, I mean, I think the play here is just to rotate mid and push, right? You can just spam out with the Alchemist. What's called? All right. Essay, what you doing? All right, we're moving, farming. Again, like, it's kind of awkward because he's kept so low mana, even with 3 levels in Sadist. That's kind of an inherent problem of this hero. Oh boy, he's gonna die here. I mean, that's just like a classic, like, overextension, right? So, if we go back, okay, well, we're just got Aegis, so that's kind of fine. All right, let's go back to here. All right, Essay standing here. Now let's fog Radiant. Okay. All right, so if we have Radiant Fog, this is what we think about. All right, so from Essay's point of view, he has no vision anywhere. All right, there are literally no wards on the map for his team. He knows Ursa's in Roche, so Ursa can't help him. We know Alchemist is jungle, we know nobody's bottom, and we know top is going to be defended by Juggernaut. Essay's alone, though, right? And more importantly, we think, you know, you survey the map and you see, all right, Drow Ranger is bottom pushing, all right? So we know that's going to have to react to it. She's level 6, she can push Zen real fast. He's just standing alone in mid, and this is a very open position. Like, it's very gankable, right? He's attacking a tower. The tower's not even about to die. 500 health, that's, you know, at least a couple creep waves for Necrophos. I don't know if we saw the Shadowblade on Sven publicly, but we know there's 4 missing. That's the important thing. We also know we only have like 300 mana. So this is one of those situations where you think, all right, you gotta survey the map, right? When you're AFK clicking this tower, you know, you can just freely see like, hey, I see nobody. And then that's when your radar should say like, hey, this is dangerous, I should not be here, yada yada. Especially, he's not like a strong pushing hero, right? And he doesn't have a good escape, and you know, he just dies. All right. I mean, that's that. Basically, the idea is to look at the minimap. And again, that's one of those little decisions. Sure, because of that, one could argue Ursa got to Roche, but you know. Basically, if you're on Necrophos and you don't have a ton of mana, you really can't like be out on your own. That's the gist of it. That's what I would posit. Any hero without escapes, you really have to be conservative. Alright, whoops. Alright. And we still don't know what his next item is going to be. It's kind of one of these awkward things where when you buy a mech, you want a 5-man. And that's another reason why a lot of these like really good mech carriers in pub games, in solo queue especially, like they just don't buy mechs. Oh, whoops, I forgot to change the stream name. Whatever. Alright, so the thing that I was just talking about. Oh yes, so mech builders like Necrophos, Viper, Shadow Fiend, when you are in a pub game and you're not coordinated, it's really hard to build a mech in just 5-man, right? Even in like quote-unquote higher skill games where you'd think people would do stuff. I'm like kind of weird stuttering. It's not always apparent that to other people that like, hey, maybe we should 5-man. Oops, let's just fog both teams. So I mean that kind of de-incentivizes the mech build. That's why like in pub games actually a lot of times you'll see the Dagon build. And we've really got to start prioritizing ulting people. That's another thing we're going to have to think about. You know, Necrophos is only as good as his ult, basically. Like, his other abilities are filler so that you can ult often. Boy. Sven. Oh, he's going for this, like, weird max cleave build where, like, he's just going to cleave a ton. That's bizarre. Okay, alright. They should be able to kill this guy, though. And this is going to be a big... Oh, gosh. He's not going to kill him with that. Oh, he did. Oh, it's level 2. Okay. Alright. So, yeah. I mean, that's success. And that's what we want to do, right? It's 15 minutes. That guy's dead for 70 seconds. That's a pretty, like, game-changing play. And all the while, Juggernaut's just free farming. Okay, alright. Alright, I think it's because I keep switching from fast forward to slow it down that the game is stuttering. Alright, so we did the Dagon build. I think I touched on this briefly. It's like actually a really common build, not surprisingly, because people just think like, hey, I'm just gonna nuke people down and ult them. Oops. Alright, here's the problem. We have gone in, we have a Necrophos that has no escape, and we have an Ember Spirit that's killing everybody. Alright, I guess we will trade for it. Use your mechanism, use your mechanism, use your mechanism, use your mechanism. Is he going to use his mechanism? No, he's not. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe this is like the bait of the century. Ult, 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 ult. Okay, alright. This is good. Okay, alright. So withholding the mechanism actually worked. Alarmingly. It was... yeah, okay, so that was a good fight. I mean, basically, this is what we see Necrophos' strengths are, right? He just outlasted the fight, and then he just gradually baited people into... I mean, granted, they made really bad decisions, but banking off of those, by making the fight last so long, he benefited by, you know, death pulsing and death pulsing and death pulsing. The way you kill any hero like this with sustain is just by, like, slowly, or by quickly just nuking him down, right? So... Success. Alright. His team is pushing without him, but we're just talking about him. Not the poor decisions of his comrades. Alright. Alright, so let's... I guess this is an important time to just briefly talk about Dagon in general. Dagon kind of gets a bad rap because people are like, oh, you know, it's just like a joke item. Or like it's really niche, like certain heroes like Tinker. People have... Dagon has a weird reputation. The thing about Dagon, though, is when you look at it numerically, Dagon level 1 is a ton of value, right? For like, what, 2,700 gold and change. You have something that does a 400 damage nuke, which granted everybody has 25 magic resist, so it's more like 300 damage. Nuke. Like that's like the most value for an item you can get, right? 300 damage nuke for 2,700 gold plus stats that are not terrible. You know, that's it's a good item. The problem with Dagon is really it's like a money pit, right? I don't know if anybody's familiar with the money pits that are like all around really, but people there's like legends. It's like, oh, you know, there's like pirate treasure in X pit in X place, but obviously that's not true, and so people just funnel money into these pits and then get nothing out of it. Dagon is similar in that, like, yeah, you get some stuff out of it, but it's really like you could be spending it on other things. So I'm kind of an advocate for, even on Necrophos, getting Dagon level 1 and then moving on to other items, and then maybe in the very late game you can transition that into a Dagon 5. I think, like, my Necrophos build, I mean, it depends a lot on the game, excuse me, but I would probably go Mech, Greaves, Ags, Dagon 1 is okay, especially, so, Dagon's one of these items that's incentivized when you're against squishy enemies that you can just kill on demand, like a Shadow Shaman or Wyvern kind of, but not like a Sven. So if you had a team where there's support for like an Ogre Magi and a Night Stalker, then you probably wouldn't be buying Dagon, right? Because their health pools are so large that you're not going to be able to just nuke them down. But yeah, boy, this Juggernaut has absolutely nothing. How is this guy so poor? Oh, okay, he's not. He just doesn't pick up his items. Alright, anyway, tangent. Necrophos, this Necrophos can't really take Ancients. This is a really poor choice. This is kind of just like a massive waste of time. Like, you could be farming mid. Oh gosh, this guy's super dead. Alright, Blink Dagger is also like a really, really good Necrophos item. Necrophos is really easy to kite, and he has a lot of problems with that, so I think on Necrophos you definitely want like a Force Staff or a Blink or something. Definitely like being able to just blink on this Shadow Shaman, hypothetically, blink, Dagon, ult, like that's worth it. I think definitely like the crux of this is you have to switch between a lot of different item builds compared to just having one static item build, right? So in a game like this, clearly he wanted to be aggressive, so maybe mech wasn't the play. But in another game, you might think like, oh, hey, I'm with a bunch of my friends, and they actually listen to me, and they're competent, so I can build a mech, and then we'll 5-man. But in this game, clearly, I think we maybe could have gone just Dagon, Treads, and Blink, or Dagon, Treads, Ag, something like that, because you want some stats. I think that would probably be the build, actually, in this game. I think it would have been, like, Dagon, well, I mean, Boots, maybe like a Null, just for the stats, and then Dagon, Ags. Dagon 1, Ags, and then Blink, and then maybe level a Dagon after that, or get an Octarine, something like that. I think that would have worked in pretty well. Alright, people are messaging me. I should have gone offline, but I didn't. Oh well. Alright, so let's keep this game moving. Because again, we don't want these to last an hour and a half, like, well, none of them have been an hour and a half, but you get the point. Alright. This is another kind of sketchy decision. Sure, he has a TP this time, but boy, Mask of Madness Drow. That's something. So I mean that was pretty funny because they didn't react to him properly. But if they had reacted properly, that would have gone a different way. Let's put it that way. I mean, any hero without a like good escape, you really got to think like, hey, what am I doing? This guy could have lived, but he just decided not to lift. He could have lifted, stole Remnant, whatever. But yeah, I mean, split pushing with Necrophos is a little sketchy. That's the crux of it. That said, I mean, if you're split pushing and you're more fed than them, like if we look at net worth, he's at the top. You really have to kind of think like, hey, I don't have an escape. This is a really bad position to be in. And as with many bad positions in Dota, that position ended up in him being dead. And the other thing is, like, he caused these two to react to him, but his team is getting very little, right? They got Roche, but, I mean, it's an Ursa. He's going to get Roche no matter what. And, yeah, so that's the gist of it. Alright. Moving on. Drow didn't finish her boots. Not like that they're good stats or anything. Alright. Let's just go forward. We don't care about anybody but Necrophos. Alright, so what is his next item? Again, I think it's Aghanim's. Aghanim's is... God, why did Alchemist buy an Aghanim's? Unless... No, that's silly. Oh boy, that was a really... Drow just fed him that kill. I feel like... Not all of his kills, but like... The 3 Ember kills were just fed to him. That kill was fed to him. There were probably another couple, like... That's something to take note of, right? It's one of those things, like, a lot of times you'll win a game with a bad build. Not that this is a bad build, necessarily. But you kind of have to think, like, did I win because of my build, or did I win in spite of it? And that's a very good point. Alright, that fight was kind of linear. I don't really have much to say about that. Kind of just running through this. Alright, are we going to... Alright, he reconnected. Alright, let's see this fight. Alright, so Necrophos is frontlining with no mana. This is something that we talked about earlier as being a unfortunate decision. It must have been a misclick. But again, we're seeing, you know, in these situations where he's low on mana, not surprisingly, the hero that is built off spamming spells is having a hard time. And this is really like just simply a bad engage, right? I think you have to gauge your strength when you're going to push. And sure, they could have pushed a little bit and then saying like, hey, everybody's alive now, let's back up. And that's when you gauge like, oh, have they used their ults recently? Oh, they haven't? Okay, they have their ults up, we're weak, let's not push. But instead they push, and then they get punished for it. That's pretty... In another game it would be throwy. In this game it just kind of serves to even the playing field a little bit. Alright. Again, let's like fast forward to see our boy. He bought a gem. I mean, gem is good if they're gonna 5-man, which again, I mean, we've kind of been saying that all game. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the difference between a gem when you're alone and a gem when you are 5-manned is a really big deal. Good, that guy's dead forever. And that's really how you have to be using... Ooh, okay, that was a little unnecessary by the Juggernaut. But that's really how you have to use your ult, right? It's just like, which core can I get? And I want him to be dead for as long as humanly possible. This should be the death push. Yeah, like they should just... Oh gosh, okay, I lied. Sven is going to come in here. And, oh, he may not actually... Yeah, alright. That would have been like a really more decisive victory if Jug had just saved his ults instead of ulting like the lone Shadow Shaman or whatever it was. But do with that information what you will. Alright, Sven bought back. Clearly Sven is the MVP of this team. He should have gone like HOD. He's just gonna die here. This is asinine. Okay, alright, so let's fast forward. They're just gonna push down this tower, right? This game is pretty... I want to say like pretty decisively won here, but this is a big victory for them. I assume this game is not going to go on for much longer. Oh, nope, it does actually go on for much longer. Okay, alright. Again, this is a situation where you really have to, like... Alright, so let's actually... Alright, so we're going to go back to here. Alright, so let's think about this. Alright, right now we have taken both Raxes. It is 30-38. Both Raxes are dead. 2 of them are up. There's 7 seconds on Ember Spirit, 5 seconds on Drought Ranger. Right now you think, alright, again, Necrophos is low mana. This would be saved by Greaves, but that's, you know, I made that point before. Necrophos is low mana. Alchemist is pretty much useless. This guy, like, his items are such garbage. This is like a really throwy move, basically. That's the simplification of it. But when you are on like the winning side of a fight like that, like yes, everything went well in that instance, but you got to take the victory and then leave. You don't take the victory and then say, like, hey, there's 2 of us, there's 5 of them, we're in the enemy base, let's push the tower, or another tier 3. Another tier 3 that's full, I might add, which is an important distinction. Alright. You could have meant to dodge that arrow and then just run away. Ooh, this, he should have just spun TP'd. Yeah, he's not gonna die though. Alright, drum's good item. Oh god, maybe... Nope, he's fine. Alright, I was gonna double back. Okay, alright. Okay, Necrophos, come to me. Alright, Necrophos, Dagon 5. Alright, so we have invested a ton of money into this Dagon. Again, like, I feel like if you had a utility item, it'd be a little more effective, but it's more or less worked. I mean, especially we have 2 Masks of Madness in this game. And theoretically, Alka could have given one of the Ags to Necrophos, but instead he gave the Ags to Juggernaut. That was a stupid decision. I mean, Necrophos Ags is way more important than Jug Ags. Alright, Necrophos, what are you doing? Alright, Mystic Staff, Shiva's Guard is really good in this game. Sheepstick is pretty good in this game. I mean, Sheepstick's always good, right? I shouldn't say it's not, like, amazing, but in this game, I mean, what are we dying to? We're dying to physical damage. What protects you from physical damage? Armor. Shiva's, tons of armor. That would be very effective against this Sven Drow. I mean, Ember Spirit too, but he's pretty like irrelevant, let's be honest. He has Drums, Crystallis, and a Void Stone at 33 minutes. That guy is not in an ideal position, let's put it that way. Alright. I mean, at this point, so once you take 1 Rax, you really gotta think like, alright, especially in a game like this, you have to weigh advantages and disadvantages, right? So you gotta think, in this instance, the Radiant team is at an advantage, just like simply because they have more farm on their cores, Although Alchemist is pretty worthless, but then again, Ember's also pretty worthless. They have more farms on their supports, and obviously we have the advantage of the net worth chart. But even the players should know this. Say like, all right, you should be clicking the enemy's team and seeing like, hey, this guy has 5 items, and we have, or like this guy has a few core items, and I have 1 more core item. It's like, all right, cool, success. That said, like they got this advantage, and then they didn't press it. So that is kind of what I would say is one of the core weaknesses that's popping up right now. All right. Yeah. Also, we lost our gem, which is very unfortunate. Like, if we had the gem, this Drow would be super dead. But, I mean, that's just the hazard of carrying a gem, right? Winter Wyvern DCs again. Oh my god. Alright. Yeah, so... Right now, I mean, I hope this is a Shiva's. Obviously, as per always, I have not watched this game beforehand, so I can't predict. I haven't looked at the end scoreboard either. But, I mean, really, the reason why I'm saying Shiva's over a Sheepstick is that Sven is a BKB, right? Sure, it's at 5 seconds by now, but this BKB is not going to help him very much. Or rather, a Sheepstick is not going to help him very much when the only person that can kill him has a BKB, and the other person shoots from afar, and she has a Shadow Blade, and she just kind of hassles you. I also kind of like Necrobook on Necrophos, but that's kind of a minority opinion. Most people are not super into it. Alright, let's freaking fast forward. Alright. Okay, alright. But yeah, so again, I think Shivas is the play here. In the long term, both are very good. I think like our ideal like these 3 slots would be Octarine, Shivas, Sheepstick. Combine these, make, well, and eventually I think Mech does fall off at a certain point. So then you'd go TP Boots and then Blink Dagger. I think that would be my 6. If I was going to have 6 slots in this game. In other games, you might need a BKB, or you might get Greaves, and then you just carry around a TP. Maybe TP instead of Blink, or instead of Octarine, I don't know. We are reviewing SA51. Sorry, I am streaming this, for anybody watching the VOD that will be up on YouTube, but I'm trying not to talk to the stream for the VOD viewers and whatnot, particularly because the guy I'm reviewing is not, in the stream. Alright, Drow Ags. I'm pretty conflicted on Drow Ags. And when I say conflicted, I mean I kind of think it's utter garbage, but then every once in a while I see it and it's pretty effective. Ooh, this Shadowblade Sven is... Well, I mean, he could have killed people, but he just kind of decided not to. Okay, alright, never mind. The team decided to die. So that was just a simple... Alright, well, we'll actually go back and talk about it just from Necrophos' point of view. Alright, so let's pause this, go back. Alright, Necrophos, standing around when you have no vision is never the best. But grouping up, I mean, obviously they don't know this Sven is here. Alright, so this is a point where you're kind of running into a choke point, right? Okay, so again, let's just rewind a little. Alright, so in this instance, what do we do? Alright, we're against a Sven, right? Sven cleave is a huge cleave, right? It's like that far. So you gotta think, if a Sven is in this area, he's going to hit literally everybody every single time with all of his hits. And he's fed, right? If this was like a early game Sven, you'd be like, alright, whatever, who cares? When the enemy team's all about cleave, right? Drow is all about cleave at this point. Ember Spirit, theoretically, if the guy had any farm, would be all about cleave. Sven is all about cleave. Winter Wyvern is all about like getting people grouped up and then cleaving them down. And then Shadow Shaman also, I mean, he does a little more damage. But so you don't want to choke point yourself into instances like this, right? So you want to kind of like delta split where like one person goes this way and one person goes this way, and then in any case, neither of you are getting cleaved. Like, one of you is getting hit, sure, maybe Alchemist dies, whatever, who cares, this guy's worthless. But instead, what we see, these two group up right here, and then our good buddy Paimei gets just fed kills. Yeah. Kind of similarly, these guys grouped up over here and got cleaved down by Juggernaut, but, you know, it is what it is. Alright, so we're going to watch this fight, but anyway, the gist of it is that Necrophos did literally nothing in that fight, whereas, like, if he had survived, this Sven would be dead for, like, an hour and a half. Alright. That's the gist of it. Alright, let's continue. Team's gonna push. I mean, they could Rax here easily if this Alchemist had any useful items. Alright. Alright, team made some poor decisions. They died. That is, that's the gist. Okay, alright, sorry, got distracted. Alright, just farming. I mean, farming is really all you can do. Here, this is not a fight we want to take. I mean, it is a fight in this game that is not bad, but also, more importantly, you know, being that we have, you know, full information, we know that these two were relatively alone, but in most games, they would not be alone and you would just die. So, that's something to take into consideration, right? You might, I mean, countless games I have lost. I'm sure we've all lost countless games because it's just like, alright, you think you're fine, and you think there's only two of them, and then it turns out the whole team's back there, and you got baited, and now you're dead. My game glitched. Alright, this, okay, they don't carry vision, whatever. Okay, he's saving his ult for somebody big. Alright. This is good. This is good. Ult that guy. Alright. Game 1. Confirmed. I mean, he doesn't have a blink. I wish we had a blink. If we had a blink, this guy would be super dead. But, I mean, that was a good fight, right? So that was how this fight up here should have gone, basically. Necrophos didn't die immediately, and then he was able to ult down the Sven, and of course our woefully inept Alchemist did not give an Aghanims to Necrophos, instead he gave it to a friggin' Rubik. I assume, I don't know, I assume it was a misclick, or he's just, like, challenged. If Necrophos had Ags, then Sven would be dead forever, and they could just push down a lane and win. But instead, what they should be doing is pushing. Right, this entire enemy team, they lost all of their useful people, and like Winter Wyvern is annoying, sure. Okay, he went Octarine. Ember Spirit has a couple items now, and he's annoying, but he's really inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. You should, like, when you have an advantage like that, win, right? Or at least take an objective, right? It's a classic mistake of like, hey, we want to fight, let's go farm. It's like, no, you want to fight, take an objective. Again, like, yeah, you have to wrangle your team to do that, but it is important. Alright, so Ursa, Roshing again. They still, like, have not prevented this guy from Roshing all game. Winter Wyvern DCs again. Alright, we don't need to watch him farm or watch the game be paused. Okay, alright. Okay, alright. Necrophos. Necrophos. How long is this game? Oh my god. Okay, alright. Let's like fast forward until something is happening. Alright. Just gonna follow our boy. I mean, both teams have just resolved themselves to farm. Which is not surprising, being that both teams have like 4 cores, basically. I mean, this Shadow Shaman may have started as a support, but he's got a good deal of items. Alright, I mean, here would be a really good time to smoke gank. I mean, I know a lot of people, their complaint is always like, oh, in 2K people don't know what a smoke is, but you should learn, and that's how you get out of it. This would be like a really good time for a smoke gank when you know the entire enemy team is just farming. And then what you do is, oh, that's a cool glitch. You know, you think, hey, They're farming. Let's smoke gank their jungle. We know they're in there, right? They're farming. They're not all farming lanes, right? There's 5 of them, and there's only 3 lanes. Alright, Sven. Again, we've been killed so many times by this. Like, we really need to... Oh, also in this game, like, Ghost Scepter would have been game-winning. That's... I didn't even think to mention that earlier. And similarly, people always forget about that item. I buy it, like, way more than anybody else. And I may overvalue the item, to be fair. Kiyomi raises a good point in the chat. As much as I was not going to talk about chat at all, I can't ignore a reference to Orange Caramel, depending on how you pronounce the best K-pop group ever. Anyway, tangent. This, yeah, okay. A Ghost Scepter would have been good. That's a simplification. But again, you know, when you have an advantage, you want to press it. You don't want to wait and let their cores get more farmed, right? It's kind of like what we were talking about in the early game, right? We beat Ember Spirit in lane, and you want to take that advantage and then press it somewhere. You don't want to putz around and not do anything with it. Alright, but it looks like we are gearing up for a push. I mean, Ursa still has Aegis, and he's buying sheep, which is good. Oh, this is perfect, alright. So in this case, you see, hey, Sven BKB'd. What an idiot. Let's press that advantage and win instead. Friggin' Alchemist dies. What a surprise. Okay, alright. SA. Jesus. Alright, so, I mean, every fight they've lost is just because of bad engages, right? Anybody watching this can see, you know, we all, like we say, we have the advantage in a replay review of perfect information, right? Like chess is a game of perfect information, and there are advantages and disadvantages to that, but that's like something people say anyway. And Dota is a game of imperfect information, right? So the Radiant team doesn't know that they're making a misplay, and they don't know, like, hey, these guys are angling on us. But they should have seen that Sven BKB'd. When Sven BKBs, you think, hey, it's 5-second BKB, let's just go up there, let's push it in, and kill him, right? Because you could just nuke him down between Necrophos and, well, Necrophos and, like, Ursa. Or if Juggernaut had just ulted, but instead he didn't, and now they're probably gonna lose a tier 2, maybe even a tier 3. Let's observe. Alright. That was a good decision by Rubik. Alright. Definitely okay. Boy, Alchemist, so worthless, it's actually painful. Okay, alright. And so now they just lose a tier 2 and a set of racks for basically nothing, right? They just like fed a bunch of gold bottom lane. They lost the Aegis and Cheese. Very unideal. I definitely like if alright, so let's say theoretically Necrophos, instead of leveling this Dagon to level 5, he goes mech, treads, Dagon 1, and then gets a Ghost Scepter, and then levels the Dagon, and then starts building Octarine. Also, I don't think Octarine was the core. I think he built. I think it's like Shiva's Octarine Scythe, maybe. That would be nice. But oh my God, this guy DCs every 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, like we said, there is actually no like magic damage that is consequential, right? Ether Shock, who cares? Winter Wyvern, kind of also pretty much who cares? Sven. Sure, you'll get cleaved still, I think. 90% sure you'll get cleaved. You'll get cleaved. Yeah, you'll get cleaved. Okay, alright. Now I feel like I need to test that. They're going outside of their base. That is not the decision. Oh, Necrophos died? Wait. Okay, alright. We need to back up. Adonde. Alright, so oh, okay. It's one of these classic. Alright, so again, this is something that is relatively simple, but when it is 50 minutes, you got to think, all right, anytime I die, I'm going to have to buy back, potentially, especially when this enemy team has a ton of push. And, I mean, the very simple fact is just like, all right, you're out of position. And when you're out of position, you get punished. It's a simple interaction with some scary consequences. Right? Like in this phase of the game, you would probably want to have like a ward here. If you have a ward there, then you can kind of safely farm this lane. But since he doesn't, he extends past like this point, and then he just dies. Especially when you have a Shadowblade Sven, it's less than ideal. Gosh, this Alchemist is actually so worthless. This hurts. Oh, I love this glitch. Okay, alright, we took some bad bounces, and now they're trying to fight, right? This is... Oh my god, this... I want to report this Alchemist from the replay. I know I can't do that, but boy, do I wish I could. They should just lose the game here, honestly. Yeah, okay, so they're just going to lose. Okay, alright, so... Gosh, alright. So, some closing notes on this game. I think overall, this game is kind of a lesson in knowing when you're strong, and knowing when you're weak, right? So they were strong and they knew, all right, Sven is dead, let's push in mid, let's kill that. And then they should have realized, hey, there's 4 of them, there's only 2 of us, and that's when they died here. You don't want to die there, so, you know, you back off. It's a simple interaction. Same thing, you know, you should have known that you were strong at the point at which Sven had just BKB'd. Oh boy, Sven's dead. They could actually just win the game here. Like, if you leave Alchemist to farm, and then you 3 push, and he just used all his wards, oh my god, this is actually such like a game-winning play. Use your Dagon. Dagon. Alright. That actually, like, this is a time at which they could push and win. Oh, okay, just kidding. These wards are gonna kill everybody. Oh my god. Wards good. Wards are good. Okay, can we actually just like see where this game goes? I don't want to just watch Mega Creeps for... Okay. Orange died, Mega Creeps. Okay, they're gonna push down mid and win. Right? Okay, let's watch this last fight. We've all kind of grouped the bottom. I mean this... Alright, it's kind of like the... What's it called? The death knell? Is that what it's called? Alright. Ult. Oh, okay, he could have ulted Drow. Why is he not dying? What? Oh god, duh, Winter Wyvern. New Winter Wyvern is so garbage. Okay, we didn't get an ult off. That's really like, you know, you wanna get the ult off. Ults are good. I think your one goal at this point should be like, hey, I have my ult up, I'm going to ult Sven ideally, Drow not ideally, but as like a second option, and that's it. Alright. Game's over? Game's over. Alright, so again, like the crux of it, know when you're strong, know when you're weak, build some mobility, build a Ghost Scepter. I think Necrophos is a really good Ghost Scepter hero, where, right, you realize like, hey, the enemy team is all physical damage, I can build a Ghost Scepter and win, or, you know, they're all magic damage, I build a BKB, right? He doesn't need, like, core items, you know, it's not like an Earthshaker where it's like, well, I can't build a Ghost Scepter because I have to build a Blink. But yeah, so, know your strengths, don't play with this freaking Alchemist player. Oh my god, this guy, this is actually, like, the most game-losing thing. 53 minutes, he's BKB Sage and Yasha, and he gave out 2 Ags to two people that are not Necrophos. I don't know. I always get in trouble for flaming too much, but like this is really a pretty game-losing interaction. Anyway, all right, SA. Hopefully this was productive. Thanks for hanging out in the stream, anybody, and thanks for watching this. If you're also watching this on YouTube, which it will be. Again, I'm Ursinity on Twitter, at Ursinity, and you can just send me your match IDs and I'd be more than happy to review it and flame your teammates for losing the game for you. So, I mean, if you want that in your life, you know, I'm here to provide. Alright, thanks for watching.